Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, with support from FAO of the United Nations, is interested to enhance regional collaborations on national forest inventory, and your recommendations, ideas, and suggestions would be very much welcome. Respected audience, ladies and gentlemen, now the welcome remarks. May I request Mr. H.M. Nishad, Conservator of Forest, Bangladesh Forest Department, to deliver his welcome remarks. Mr. H.M. Nishad, Conservator of Forest.
Thank you. Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Mohammad Ziaul Hassan, NDC, Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change, Bangladesh. Mr. Mohammad Amir Hussain Chaudhuri, Chief Conservator of Forest, Bangladesh Forest Department. Mr. Shamim Al-Jazi, Additional Secretary, Ministry of Environment, Forests and Climate Change, Bangladesh. Mr. John Taylor, Chief Technical Advisor, FAO Food System and FAO Representative in Bangladesh ad interim. Mr. John Smith-Srin, Director, Economic Growth Office, USAID, Bangladesh. Distinguished panelists and participants from home and abroad, representatives from print and electronic media, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. And FAO representation in Bangladesh. It is my honor to welcome all distinguished guests, panelists, national and international participants to the webinar on Knowledge Sharing on National Forest Monitoring in Southeast Asia, presentation of the Bangladesh Forest Inventory. Due to COVID-19 outbreak, we have to arrange this event in Zoom virtual platform, otherwise we could be gathered physically. Dear participants, National Forest Inventory and Forest in a country like Bangladesh, characterized by high population density, climate change vulnerability, and forest monitoring systems are more important than ever, considering the continuing worldwide degradation of trees and forests. In a country like Bangladesh, characterized by high population density, climate change vulnerability, as well as increasing dependence on natural resources, a national assessment of tree and forest resources is of high priority. You will be happy to know that Bangladesh Forest Department carried out its first cycle of the inventory from 2015 to 2019 through the project Strengthening National Forest Inventory and Satellite Land Monitoring System in support of RAID in Bangladesh. Technically, this project supported by the FAO and financially assisted by the USAID, with the aim of supporting the government's action towards sustainable forest management through the development of the reliable data sets. The Bangladesh Forest Department undertaken this rigorous approach to establish a multi-purpose, efficient, accurate, and replicable design for national forest assessment. The BFI takes advantage of advanced methodology through a collaborative process, experience, and knowledge from various national and international entities. The BFI is identical in its methodological approach, use of advanced technology, as well as its extent, as it includes in its process both the forest and tree outside forest resources. This National Forest Inventory has provided us with a picture of our forest resources at the national level. These forestry statistics are not only important for forestry professionals, but they are equally important for policymakers, planners, researchers, academics, non-government organizations, and community-based organizations, and those who having interest in the conservation of forest resources. The information and data will guide us for the sustainable management of tree and forest resources in the country and formulation of national plans, informed decision-making and strategies for balancing sustainable development with natural resources conservation. The BFI information will also meet the requirements of various national and international reporting, such as SDG, apparel, World Heritage Sites. My welcome note will be followed by sharing our experiences and knowledges in the way of conducting Bangladesh forest inventory and sharing its results with all of you. I hope this BFI process and results will help our overseas participants a lot in shaping their own national forest inventory, especially in South and Southeast Asian countries. The information provided by BFI improves knowledge on the state changes and trends of forest, tree, outside forest, and land use, and will allow inference to be drawn. Process. The information provided by BFI improves knowledge on the state changes and trends of forests and trees outside forest and land use, and will allow inference to be drawn between tree and forest resources and their users across multiple stakeholders at different levels. However, and additionally, institutional support as well as continuation of collaboration among national and international partners is crucial for sustaining the BFI process in future. We are thankful to the USAID and FAO for their continued assistance and support. In this opportunity, I would like to thank all of our colleagues who contributed anyway in this robust and rigorous journey. In spite of their very busy schedule. Thank you all, and thank you very much. Stay safe.
Thank you, Mr. H.M. Nishat, for your honest welcome remarks. Now we have a short video on introduction to Bangladesh forest inventory. Mr. Halim, please play on the video.
The forests of Bangladesh exist in a delicate balance, serving the competing needs of both people and the environment. Over 19 million people directly rely on forest resources daily. Millions more indirectly benefit from forest and ecosystem services that purify our water, reduce erosion, clean our air, and absorb the destructive pressures from storms and cyclones. Effective management of tree and forest resources is critical to ensure they continue to meet the intense demands for future generations. In 2016, the Forest Department, under the Ministry of Environment and Forests, initiated the Bangladesh Forest Inventory, a process of regular investigation into the state and trends of forest resource dynamics.
আমাদের ন্যাশনাল ফরেস্ট ইনভেন্টরি বা বাংলাদেশ ফরেস্ট ইনভেন্টরি চলছে। এই বাংলাদেশ ফরেস্ট ইনভেন্টরি প্রকল্পের অধীনেই ন্যাশনাল ল্যান্ড কভার ম্যাপিংয়ের কাজ করছি। এই ফরেস্ট ইনভেন্টরির কাজটা যাতে সুন্দরভাবে সফলভাবে আমরা সমাপ্ত করতে পারি এবং সেই সাথে ম্যাপিংয়ের কাজটা যাতে খুব নিখুঁতভাবে করতে পারি সেজন্য সবার সহযোগিতা কামনা করি এবং সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ।
Over 100 national and international experts from more than 40 institutions have assisted the design of protocols to collect, analyze, and disseminate scientific information on the usage, costs, medicinal properties, threats, and potential benefits of trees and forests. Using advanced image processing technology, electronic field data capture techniques, and open source software solutions, the methodology represents an innovative, best practice approach to forest management. The information will assist the Forest Department to develop appropriate, informed management actions that ensure forests are conserved for for future generations.
Distinguished participants, this video has given you an introductory note on Bangladesh forest inventory. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, we have a minor change in the program. Our Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Mohammad Ziaul Hasan, NDC Secretary, Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Bangladesh, has to leave the webinar session early for an urgent official assignment. He will now address the distinguished audience and declare the Bangladesh Forest Inventory webinar officially open. May I request our Honorable Chief Guest, Mr. Mohammad Ziaul Hasan, NDC Secretary, Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Bangladesh, to address the distinguished audience. Honorable Chief Guest.
Okay, thank you. Dear Mr. Ahmed Shamim Al-Daji, Additional Secretary, Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Mr. Mohammad Amir Hussain Chaudhary, Chief Conservator of Forest, Bangladesh Forest Department, Mr. John Taylor, Chief Technical Advisor, FAO Food System, and FAO representative in Bangladesh at interim, Dr. John Smith Srin, Director Economic Growth Office, USAID, Dr. Matthew Henry, joined from FAO headquarters, other distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, distinguished participants from home and abroad, representatives from print and electronic media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning and assalamu alaikum. It is I feel greatly privileged to join you here in this webinar on sharing Bangladesh Forest Inventory report to you all. In the context of COVID-19 situation, we have been joined to webinar. At the very outset, I would like to recall the vast, precious, diverse resources that our forestry possess. We must admit that our forestry consists of resources that comprise of ecological, economical, and environmental benefits. So we must be serious to conserve our precious forest. We must be aware to efficiently manage our forest resources and be attentive to conserve it. And for efficient management of our forest resources and its conservation, we need to have a inventory of our resources. And for that very hours, we have recently successfully completed Bangladesh Forest Inventory report, assessing our forest resources countrywide with the technical help of FAO and financial help of USAID. Now, we have a comprehensive picture of our forest resources nationwide that we can be proud of. And to today's webinar, we'll be going to share this Bangladesh Forest Inventory resources to all the participants for their prospective use of the statistics. This is a baseline statistics that we have to to this forest inventory report, and it will be convenient for us to conserve and manage our resources sustainably, and we'll be able to report internationally and nationally on various occasions, and that will be acceptable. I am very glad that through this webinar, we have a number of distinguished participants from a number of countries like India, Bhutan, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Nepal, and the Philippines, Sri Lanka, Thailand, and Vietnam. I congratulate and welcome all of my foreign friends to join with us in this webinar session. Even if we are in a COVID-19 situation, our getting together through this webinar will be helpful for us to disseminate our knowledge and experiences, and they'll be able through this knowledge sharing to prepare their forest industry in their respective countries. So, and we also be benefited from their knowledge, from their valuable suggestions. So I warmly welcome them and congratulate them for thank them for their participation. And I hope that the networking we have instituted today through this webinar will be continued for many, many days for our mutual benefits and experience sharing. As I told before, that this forest industry report is immensely beneficial for our national context and for international reporting also. And we through this webinar, this will be disseminated to the wide range of participants from different agencies, from different participants from home and abroad, so that they could be able to make use of this information and results got from this Bangladesh Forest Inventory report. And this was a very praiseworthy task and a very scientific and authentic document. And in the process of preparing this document, I would like to thank FAO for supporting their generous technical assistance, and USAID for financing in the project. And I also thankful to different relevant and different involved agencies of our country, and the Department of Forest Department of Bangladesh, particularly my colleagues who are directly involved in the process. I hope that with a regular interval of time, we'll be interested to update this report so that we can have a true picture and changes in our forest resources. So it should be continued, and in updating the forest resources or forest industry reported, I would like to urge FAO and USAID to continue to extend their support. And I finally thank all the participants for their participation. And I would humbly ask them to gather knowledge through sharing of Bangladesh Forest Inventory report. With these few words, I declare the BFI webinar open and wish the webinar a grand success. Thank you all for your attention and patience. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Guest, for your valued space. Our Honorable Chief Guest will be leaving now to attend an
So I have
important...
completed my speech.
Yes. So thank you, Honorable Chief Guest, for your
So,
valued speech. Yeah.
So from you all, from your permission, I would like to leave this session because I have to attend another important meeting in the Cabinet Division. Thank you all. Hopefully we'll meet again and exchange our views. Thank you, dear participants and my friends from home and abroad.
Thank you, Honorable Chief Guest, for your valued space. So our Honorable Chief Guest will be leaving now to attend an important meeting. So with the permission of the Chief Guest, we will be continuing with our webinar session. And now we move to our technical session, which will start with a polling questions. Now, you will be able to see one polling question on your screen. How do you use National Forest Inventory data and information? This question is only for participants and attendees, not for panelists. Response time is 1.5 minutes. May I request distinguished participants to respond to these polling questions. You have the option to choose multiple answers. Once the response time is over, you will be able to see the result of your response on your screen. Now, please respond to these questions. Now you can see the results of your response, which says policy decisions and planning has got 73% votes, monitoring has got 60%, reporting 52%, research 75%, and education 44%. Thank you to our distinguished participant for responding to this question. Now we move to our presentation on data collection for Bangladesh Forest Inventory. I have the pleasure to request Dr. Moriam Akhtar, Assistant Chief Conservator of Forest, Bangladesh Forest Department, to deliver her presentations. Dr. Moriam Akhtar.
Thank you. I can still see our honorable chief guest, distinguished chair, distinguished panelist, distinguished internationally and nationally available who they are attached with this webinar. All are welcome to the knowledge sharing webinar. Today, I will share with you the data collection methodologies for different components under the Bangladesh Forest Inventory. First, I would like to share you the past inventories. Historically, Bangladesh has started data collection since many years for forest management planning, mostly at the subnational levels. During 2007, a national tree and forest assessment was conducted, and where data for all forest types were not collected. Data were collected only from 296 sample plots. Therefore, the Bangladesh Forest Inventory has been designed to address those gaps. Bangladesh Forest Inventory process is the process of data collection, compilation, analysis, and national monitoring of trees and forest resources at regular interval. It provides robust estimate of the status of trees and forest resources and the values of trees and forest ecosystem services. Ultimately, it provides information for national natural resources management, planning, policy decisions, national and international reporting requirements. The BFI has been designed for mapping, biophysical inventory, socioeconomic survey. I will go through one by one to say the methodologies we use to collect data from the field and from the field. So land cover mapping 2015 were developed under the BFI. A national land cover land representation system has been developed with the collaboration of government, non-government, and academics who they are involved for land cover mapping in the country. All of them were coordinated and collect their maps to collect their classification system and compiled it accordingly. And land cover legends were collected from the National Land Representation System and used for mapping the land cover map of 2015. Training samples were collected from field for using spot 6 and 7 satellite imagery to develop the land cover map of 2015. More than 1,000 training samples were collected from the field, and methodologies were developed with the discussion of the stakeholders who they are really involved in the country for land cover mapping. You can see the documents were in the left side of the slides. Huge documentation were done under this process. You can see the slides with the process that is started since 2013 with the trainings, with the capacity building, with the national workshop. So all the events were represented by the representative organization from the country. And all together, it would be more than, I think, a dozen organizations were involved in this process, from the capacity building to the development of land cover map, and also the verification of the land cover map from the field, and as well as involving the all stakeholders in the process. Ultimately, we used the land cover map 2015 to update the tree cover information for 2015. The land cover map developed for 2015 were integrated with the tree cover map of 2015. Our land cover map 2015 is converted to low resolution image till 30-meter resolution, so that we can integrate land cover tree cover information to the spot satellite image classification. And afterwards, we got the tree cover percentages according to land cover classes. So The information collected for biophysical inventory, I will describe here the methodologies. As I said in the first slide that our previous inventories were not address all the issues that we need to collect data. So we developed the zoning map. You can see the zoning map and to better stratify our forests. So considering the forest type, ecology, soil salinity, and the altitude. So better representation of the zonings and the forest types provided us the data, adequate data to analyze our forest data. Altogether, 1,858 sample plots were identified in the zones and which is designed to provide national level estimates within ±10% sampling error with 95% confidence level. And out of these sample plots, 1,781 plots were measured from the field, which is exactly 96% data were collected, and the rest of the data were not accessible. To implement the inventory, we developed BFI manual where how the data will be collected from field. The design was testing and developed the manual. Quality assurance and quality control manual also developed for checking the field data quality, and the design, field collection design to collect the data using the tab Open Forest was developed. Tree species database were developed to identify the tree species in the field using the app. BFD coordinated with Bangladesh National Herbarium to get their rich database, and an application was developed for that. Training materials developed and trained at least 15 field teams to collect the field data, and 5 quality assurance and quality team were trained to check their data in the field with the hot check and cold checks. Manuals for calculating the biomass from using the field data. Allometric equation manual was developed. For biophysical data collection, 1.5 meter into 1 meter grids were created. And you can see the examples in the slides below. Hexagons were drawn inside the zones, and the random points were generated within the hexagons. Ultimately, we found the random points in the zones. And plots or water is not considered. Altogether, 1,857 sample plots were located from the country. And here is the detailed plot layout for the sample plots. You can see in the A that layout is considered for 4 zones called Shal, Hill, Coastal, and Village. For 4 zones, 5 subplots consist 1 sample plot, and B, 3 subplots in 1 plot, which is considered for Sundarban zone. In the right side, you can see 1 subplots detailed layout where you can see which information is collected from the which area. I will not provide the details, and if you have question, you can put it in your question answer session and also in the chat box. I will show here some of the technologies we use during data collection. Plot card we printed for the field teams using the high resolution data, and they use the tabs to collect data from field, and they took GPS to reach the sample plot location in the center, and they used rangefinder for measuring the tree height, and distance measuring tape they used for finding the distance from center to the trees, and RFID chip inserted in the trees for relocating the sample plots, reference trees and center in future, and auger they used to collect soil samples. And finally, we used DGPS to get more accurate central point locations. We used DGPS. We collected DGPS location for future relocation of the plots. Now, I will describe the methodologies used for socioeconomic survey. So Bangladesh Bureau of Statistics supported us to design our trainings, national consultations for formulation of experts groups to design the socioeconomic survey. We did literature review, and finally, with the support from stakeholders, we developed the socioeconomic survey design for data collection. Here, the zoning is slightly different from the BFI zoning, biophysical zoning. You can see we exclude Sundarban zone from the socioeconomic survey, as because no people is living inside Sundarban, we considered Sundarban periphery is the zone for socioeconomic survey, where the people are living and they are collecting the resources from Sundarban. So,
Dear Moniam, you have only 3 minutes left.
Altogether, 6,400 households considered for data collection to provide valuation of primary trees and forest ecosystem services, which ultimately developed our understanding of the interaction between people and tree and forest resources in Bangladesh. So I will explain how we manage our data and how we estimated our data. So field teams collected their data using tabs, and they sent us through Dropbox, and data were cleaned by the Forest Department official along with the technical support from FAO, and quality assurance and quality control checking were done using our tools. Forest Department and FAO together verified all the data. Ultimately, we revisited 54 plots for data collection again. And volume biomass was determined after the completing all plots. Here you can see the map showing the allometric equation available for different zones. We developed allometric equation for the zone specific, and existing equation also we verified so that we can use some of the existing equation to calculate the biomass from all zones. Data management and estimation procedure we developed using the stakeholder participation. We reviewed the data rigorously, and we tried to reduce our error using the R script, and the data also reviewed by the international experts. And overall result is robust system for monitoring and reporting national tree and forest resources. My final slide is to show the partnership we developed during this process. Many of the organizations, you can realize that we were coordinated to successful completion of the BFI. So I think this is the very short presentation to explain all the procedures, methodologies. So I hope if you have question, you please leave your question in the Q question and answer or in the chat box. So thank you very much for your hearing.
Thank you, Dr. Moriam Akhtar, for your nice detailed presentation on data collection for Bangladesh Forest Inventory. Distinguished panelists, participants, ladies and gentlemen, now a short video on land cover map and national land representation system will be played. I request to please watch the video. Mr. Halim, please play on the video.
In Bangladesh, various agencies develop land cover maps for various purposes using remote sensing and ancillary data. However, inconsistencies in land cover definition due to dissimilarities between organizational mandates, methodology, boundary, and capacities often limit the comparison of land cover and change detection over time. In this context, a standardized classification system for an entire country representing the interest of relevant government entities is the first step for producing consistent and comparable land cover information.
Bangladesh Forest Department developed the National Land Representation System in collaboration with different national and international organizations. FAO provided technical supports for all these activities. The gaps of existing land cover mapping process have been identified and addressed.
This is the first time that a national land representation system is developed building on all existing national land cover classification systems and using the last FAO land cover classification system, LCCS. LCCS is an ISO standard for land cover, and the national land representation system is flexible. It can be upgraded and improved over time, and this provides a robust system to ensure the consistency of land cover monitoring over time and at different levels.
Based on the National Land Representation System or NLRS, the Land Cover Map 2015 of Bangladesh has been developed. This NLRS-based Land Cover Map 2015 is being used for various purposes, including assessment of SDG indicators, development of a forest baseline for REDD+, assessment of land degradation, and implementation of the Bangladesh Forest Inventory. Development of a harmonized classification system and its application in developing land cover dataset at national scale is one of the first ever initiatives and is expected to be the foundation for building sustainability in land cover assessment and monitoring in Bangladesh.
Distinguished participants, hope this video has given you a broad picture of land cover map and national land representation system in Bangladesh. Now we moved on to the second polling question. What should be the standard interval of land cover mapping for forest monitoring? Like that of polling question 1, response time is 1.5 minutes. May I request distinguished participants to respond to the second polling question? You have the option to choose only one. Once the response time is over, you will be able to see the result of your response in the screen. Please respond to the questions. Now you can see your responses on the screen. This interval for land cover coming 2% has voted for 1 year, 18% has voted for 3 years, 62% has voted for 5 years, 2% has voted for 7 years, and 20% has voted for 10 years. Thank you, distinguished participants, for your response. Now, we have session on sharing of experiences by Bangladesh Forest Inventory Field Team members. Mr. Sohail Rana, Assistant Conservator of Forest, Bangladesh Forest Department, Team Leader and Quality Assurance and Quality Control Coordinator, and Mr. N.M. Yasin Nawaz, Deputy Conservator of Forest, Bangladesh Forest Department, who also worked on quality assurance and quality control, will share their respective experiences. First, may I request Mr. Sohail Rana, Assistant Conservator of Forest, to share his experience. Thank you.
Good morning, sir. First of all, I would like to express my heartiest gratitude to my CCF sir and all other panelists of this program. I am Mohammad Sohail Rana, Assistant Conservator of Forest, currently working in Coxbazar North Forest Division. Sir, I was the team leader of Team 3 in BFI. I was responsible for plot measuring in Coxbazar and Bandarban district. Including me, there were 5 members in my team. All the team members were extremely diligent, which made easy to measuring the plot. From 22nd November 2016 to 17 March 2019, I have completed 148 plots, 35 in Coxbazar and 113 in Bandarban Hill area. Sir, we don't have much problem working in Coxbazar. However, forest inventory was not widely publicized. That's why we have to explain a lot before working in private land. On other hand, the experience of Bandarban is completely different. There are many problems. First of all, the issue of security. Many headmen and Karwari were not present at the information sharing meeting with the local community in Upazila Sadar, so that we have to face obstacles during the plot measuring. If the plot location has been mapped on the MOSA map with the village location, we can find the plot center easily. It was quite difficult to work without proper mapping. Reaching the plot in the hill area is very difficult. Sometimes I had to come back from a very close distance to the plot. We have done our best, efforts have succeeded. Take care of those things in case of any inventory in future, such as wide publicity and proper security. Finally, I am grateful to my team member for their hard work. I am very grateful to respected NPC of BFI, Johari Gol sir and his team. I am also very grateful to BFI because I learned a lot about Shangu and Matamoori Reserve Forest and also the real condition of forest in Coxbazar. Thank you all, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Sohail Rana. Now I request Mr. A.N.M. Yasin Nawaz, Deputy Conservator of Forest, to share his experience.
Honorable Chief Guest, Honorable Chair, and distinguished guests. Assalamu alaikum and very good morning. This is A.N.M. Yasin Nawaz, Deputy Conservator of Forest, Coordinator, Quality Assurance and Quality Control Team number 3. Each Quality Assurance and Quality Control team consists of 4 members, 1 coordinator, 1 technical expert from faculty of university, 1 skilled person from Bangladesh Forest Department, 1 local person. QA/QC coordinator and field teams members have been selected through a comprehensive training program ending with a certification exam. By this time, you know that data collection was done from 5 zones. So our team worked in coastal zones and in village zones. We conducted hot check of 3% plots and cold check of 7% plots. During data collection, QA/QC was the first point of contact for field teams in case of technical matters. We provided monthly progress report to the Bangladesh Forest Inventory Unit. QA/QC ensures the data integrity, correctness, and completeness. It identifies and addresses errors and emissions. Due to the difference information and measurements between QA/QC team and field teams, some plots had to be revisited. Data collection by the field teams was very cumbersome job. We have observed that our team members did it with utmost sincerity. From my experience as a QA/QC coordinator, I want to mention that engagement of competent persons and comprehensive training is a must for a successful forest inventory. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Mr. A.N.M. Yasin Nawaz. Distinguished panelists and participants, your attention is now drawn to the presentation on Bangladesh Forest Inventory results, for which we are looking for. Mr. Mohammad Johir Iqbal, Deputy Conservator of Forests, Bangladesh Forest Department, will deliver this presentation. I have the pleasure to request Mr. Mohammad Johir Iqbal, Deputy Conservator of Forests, to deliver his presentation. Mr. Mohammad Johir Iqbal.
Thank you, sir. Honorable Chief Guest, Honorable CCF and Chair of the session, Honorable Additional Secretary, Mr. Shamim Al Raji, FAO Representative, USAID Director, FAO officials from Bangladesh and abroad, honorable panelists, and the audience across the world. This is Johir Iqbal. I am presenting the key results of Bangladesh Forest Inventory. Actually, we started the physical work in 2016 after the approval of project, but we have started planning 3-4 years before the physical work started. So we started planning in 2012 for land cover classification, then strengthening capacity strengthening in the field of land cover map and forest inventory. After approval of the project, we started physical works in 2016, and for the 3 major components, we completed the field work in April 2019 because there were some plots in the Chittagong Hills which are in remote places, and because of security reasons, we could not go in time. So we completed the field works in 2019, and after that we started data processing, data cleaning, data analyzing, and started reporting. While analyzing data, after having in the BFI unit or the Forest Department officials and FAO experts, we identified 7 criteria and with 47 indicators. So we started our preparing our report with 7 criteria and 47 indicators, which are given below. And today I will try to mention the result of almost all the criteria. First, the land cover map. As you informed by my previous presenter, that we have used spot satellite images of 5-meter resolution, and after interpretation, we got a total forest cover of 12.8% of total country area, Bangladesh country area, which is equivalent to 14.1% of total country land area. So, to report in the SDG 15 indicators, we have to measure the forest area in terms of total country land area. So, total 14.1% is the total forest cover compared to total country land area. And as my previous presenter said, that we got 33 land cover classes from our classification. And the major forest class consists of these 10 subclasses, which are hill forest, bamboo forest, plainland shal forest, shrub with scattered trees, swamp forest, rubber plantation, forest plantation, mangrove forest, that is natural mangrove plantation, it is man-made plantation or coastal plantation, and swamp plantation. Now I'm presenting some key results of biophysical inventories. And first, the biodiversity or number of tree species. from our measured 1,781 plots, we found 393 species across the country. Among 393 species, native was 352, and we found 38 introduced species. And after collection, we saw that we have found 12 globally threatened species in our sample plots, 3 species in our sample plots. The 4 photos represent 4 types of forest area. The left one is a swamp, natural swamp forest. The right above one is a hill forest with bamboo domination. Then the lower 2 one represent the Sundarban mangrove forest. Any forest inventory output is stem density, then volume, then with the scenario of climate change, we are now analyzing biomass and carbon. So our result shows that we have a stem density of national stem density is 129 stem per hectare, and basal area, national basal area is 4.52 meters square per hectare. So as we said that we had 5 zones for the biophysical inventory, and the national and the natural mangrove forest, Sundarban mangrove forest found the highest stem density per hectare, that is 661, and then the man-made coastal forest 222, and the third is shal or deciduous Shorea robusta forest in the center part. And basal area factor, Sundarban is the highest basal area per hectare. Sundarban is the highest, almost over 22 meter per hectare. Then hill forest stood second, 6.23 meters square per hectare, and coastal is 8.82 meters square per hectare. Our inventory results said the regeneration status in different types of forest types and different zones. As a natural rich mangrove forest in this category, Sundarban is the first one. We found nearly 21,000 seedlings per hectare in this mangrove forest. And shal forest or Shorea robusta forest, we found second, almost just over 5,000 seedlings per hectare, and coastal plantation nearly 2,100 seedlings per hectare. And we analyzed the top 3, and we found that Heritaria fomes, known as Shunduri has the highest number of seedling density in different zones and forests. Then the second one is also a mangrove species, Cereus decandra. It's a rhizophorus species in the Sundarban. And the third one is Shorea robusta or shal in the central deciduous forest of Bangladesh. As I said, that in a changed scenario of climate change, the importance of biomass and carbon is very crucial for reporting REDD and claiming the carbon value. We analyzed the biomass, above ground biomass, below ground biomass, and soil biomass. And for above ground biomass or ABG, we found a national total of 387 million tons. And naturally, Sundarban mangrove stood highest in biomass density, which is 98.4 ton per hectare. And Sundarban biomass density is 2.2 times higher than hill zone and 3.8 times higher than the national average. And for above ground biomass, mango, Mangifera indica, we found the highest contributor for above ground biomass. Shunduri or Heritaria fomes is the second, and one introduced species, Sutenia mahagoni, we found third in the top categories of above ground biomass. The map shows the Bangladesh with a biomass density across the country, and you can see the Sundarban area, the hill, some parts of Chittagong hill tracts and Chittagong, and the middle part, the central part for the shal forest region, showing the high density compared to other areas, other Bangladesh areas. Growing stock, we know that the commercially usable timber quality is usually known as the growing stock of a tree or a forest type or area. And from our inventory, forest inventory, we found a national growing stock of 384 million cubic meter. And Sundarban volume is 3.4 times higher than the national average. And while saying the land cover map, and we say that and the inventory, we know that most of the tree resources situated outside the forest areas, that is in the village zone or trees outside forest. And naturally, the village zone contributed the highest amount of growing stock, which is nearly 66%. And hill zone contributed the second, which is 20% of total growing stock. If we compare the zone wise, then we can see again the Sundarban zone is the highest for growing stock per hectare. It is now almost 98 cubic meter per hectare. And then the coastal zone, it's just over 50 cubic meter per hectare. And hill zone stood third for growing stock per hectare or volume per hectare, and it is nearly 48 cubic meter per hectare. Now the most important one for climate change mitigation, the carbon stock. This table shows the total carbon stock of a country as well as zone, considering the 5 carbon pools: above ground, below ground, soil, deadwood, and litters. And we have a national carbon stock of nearly 1,276 million ton. And our 1,276 million carbon across the country, considering the 5 carbon pools. And I think everybody knows that the soil carbon usually contributes more than the above ground biomass and other carbons. So we found that almost 78% of our carbon content goes to the are sequestered in the soil. And however, the forest area or forest cover represents almost 22% of total carbon stock. Within the forest cover, mangrove contributes 9.7%, and mangrove contributes 5.2%, and hill forest contributes 9.7% of total carbon stock, respectively. The graph and the map shows the carbon density of the country, and because of forest area contribution to the carbon is usually high, so we can see that Sundarban mangroves, parts of Chittagong Hill Tracts, Chittagong, Cox's Bazar, Sylhet, and Sal Forest region shows the deep color, which contains the more soil carbon and carbon in the country. Now coming to the socioeconomic survey, this socioeconomic survey gives us an idea about the contribution of trees and forest resources to the people living in and around the country, forest area, and as well as the villages. It shows that every household has received at least one benefit from the tree or forest resources. Either it is shade or natural windbreak, pollution control, medicinal, or any other social or environmental benefits. And we found from our survey that almost 65% of women are involved in collecting primary tree and forest products. It's encouraging that the survey shows that 54% of the respondents said that they get some medicinal benefits from tree and forest resources. We tried to convert our economic values into national gross income and GDP, and we saw that the trees and forest resources contribute 1.29% of gross national income. As I said, that our major tree resources are situated in village areas. So almost 80% of total value of primary tree and forest products are coming from that village forest or trees outside resources. And our survey shows that fishery product in Sundarban periphery contributed more than 50% of their total value or total income from the forest resources. While converting the value to compare with the GDP, and we find that our tree and forest products valued 3.11% of 2017-18 financial year GDP. We measured their value the then current price. And the graph shows that the major products, forest products and minor forest products coming from the forest and tree resources. The valuation with the types of forest products.
Mr. Johid, please finish your presentation within 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. Now I'm coming to the use of forest BFI information. The forest extent derived from land cover map, we are using it to fix and to target of SDGs 15 indicators and SDG 15 goal indicators, 15 goal indicators. We reported our land cover map and partial result of biophysical inventory to prepare and submit report to Global Forest Resource Assessment 2020. You know that the key findings already been published in the FAO website, and we are waiting for the detailed result. So we contributed our BFI information of land cover map and biophysical inventory result to prepare the report and submit to the FAO GFRA. And you know, Sundarban is a World Heritage Site, and we have to report to the UNESCO World Heritage Authority regularly. So we use the carbon density and other information of Sundarban to report in the UNESCO World Heritage Site. We submitted a forest reference label last year, and we took a partial result from our biophysical inventory, because that time the result was not finalized and we got only the draft result. And we took advantages of land cover map classification to prepare the report. Our land cover classes we shared with the Department of Environment to get the monitoring data of land degradation, and they are in the process of preparing land degradation map using our data. And we have a plan to utilize our data for national and subnational forest to prepare for national and subnational forest management plans. BFI data can be used for specific needs. For example, for the refugee camps, in and around refugee camps, we used our data to assess the fuel wood supply and demand for the Rohingya refugee camps in Cox's Bazar. And we have an ongoing project, World Bank Fund project. We call it Sustainable Forest and Livelihood Project, to prepare the planning and to find out the suitable areas for plantation. We used our land cover map data for the planning of World Bank funded SHUFAL or Sustainable Forest and Livelihood Project. So these are the results, and the way we have used these results into different national, international reporting and planning of different activities. With this, I would like to conclude my presentation, and thank you very much for your patience hearing.
Thank you, Mr. Muhammad Johid Iqbal, for your nice presentation. Distinguished panelists, participants, ladies and gentlemen, you are now aware of the results of the Bangladesh Forest Inventory. These results are very important, not only for forestry professionals, but they are equally important for policymakers, planners, researchers, academicians, non-government organizations, community-based organizations, and our national and international development partners, and for those who have interest in the conservation of the forest resources. Distinguished participants, our valued stakeholders will be able to make use of Bangladesh forest inventory results and necessary data and information, for which data sharing arrangement is an important prerequisite. Now we move to next agenda item, the presentation on BFI data sharing. This data sharing session is a combination of video on Bangladesh Forest Information System and a PowerPoint presentation. May I request Ms. Afroza Begum, Research Officer, Bangladesh Forest Department, to deliver her presentation. Ms. Afroza Begum.
Thank you, sir. Excuse me. Honorable Chair, Honorable Chief Conservator of Forest, distinguished panelists and distinguished guests, very good morning and Assalamu alaikum. I am Afroza Begum, Research Officer, Bangladesh Forest Department. Would like to focus on BFI data sharing. Bangladesh Forest Inventory or BFI data has been uploaded to the BFI submodule of the BFI's web portal. The web address to access Bangladesh Forest Information System or BFIS is bfis.bforest.gov.bd/BFIS/. BFIS is a web-based system to support information-based strategic planning, implementation and monitoring of forest-related activities from any integrated platform. You are now requested to watch a video clip about BFIS.
Forest is life. Forest information is vital for forest management. Every day we are dealing with an ocean of data and information. Trouble is how to extract and process the data. It is difficult to find and gather the desired information on time from scattered and unorganized data sources without a dedicated system for information management. Information system is a technology-based solution which helps you to produce quality output. It stores the data, categorizes according to the data type, processes automatically and gives you the result in any format you ask. Thus, you can prevent data loss, you can minimize data inaccuracy, you can save time, and you can get real-time processed data. Bangladesh Forest Information System or BFIS is a broad spectrum uses of information technology to access data and information associated with a significant part of environment, forest. Technically, BFIS is a web-based system to support information-based strategic planning, implementation, monitoring of multi-objective forest-related activities from an integrated platform. BFIS developed for Bangladesh Forest Department under the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change in collaboration with Bangladesh Computer Council, technical support from Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, and financial support from Human Trade Program and USAID. BFIS is a platform to collect forest-related information and presents in an organized manner for effective management to support targeted users of Forest Department and beneficiaries like research communities, academicians, and stakeholders. BFIS is a collection of modules categorized into development activities, management and conservation, forest assessment, and knowledge management. Each module consists of up-to-date data and information. BFIS connects all the modules and redirect to the module page with a single click. Modules such as HR is about human resource management. Land record contains information of forest land and land tenure. Forest emission factor database to support greenhouse gas inventory. BFIS GeoPortal is a web application to manage geospatial information about forest and land cover in Bangladesh. Tree species identification module is about tree species found in Bangladesh. Bangladesh Forest Inventory contains database of biophysical and socioeconomic survey. BFI's e-library is a digital library. And many more. The BFI's modules are separately developed and platform independent. Any new module can be added anytime. BFIs is built to support digitalization of Bangladesh by enhancing the utilization of innovative technology.
You are now aware of different modules and submodules of BFIs through the video just played. Please note that this web platform is dynamic. Data and information are updated continuously to these modules. Some data and information of these modules are publicly open for all. However, some are not publicly open. Prior permission will be required to access or download for some data. Now I will show you how one can get data and information through use of these modules in order to benefit from them. Please allow me to share a few PowerPoint slides to explain the system. Accessible data and information for general users, BFI report. BFI report has been uploaded in the BFI submodule of the forest assessment module of the BFI's web portal. Sorry. Users can download it easily from here. BFI's e-library. The BFI's e-library is the virtual library of the Bangladesh Forest Department. It provides free access to reports, scientific papers, posters, R scripts, and many other documents. User can download the documents from here. BFI raw data. BFI raw data is only accessible for authenticated person who has an account in BFI portal. This account will be approved by BFD RIMS unit. BFI's GeoPortal. The BFI's GeoPortal provides geospatial information related to forest and land cover. The process of uploading shape files, layer files, map, and documents is ongoing, and all information of GeoPortal are not yet publicly available. Geospatial data is only accessible for authenticated person who has an account in GeoPortal. This account will be approved by the BFD RIMS unit. Here is my communication address, and thank you for patience hearing.
Thank you, Ms. Afroza Begum, for your nice presentation combined with a video. Distinguished participants, we are now placing before you the third polling question. What should be the best way of accessing data and information? Here also the response time is 1.5 minutes. May I request distinguished participants to respond to these third polling questions? You have the option to choose only one. Once the response time is over, you'll be able to see the result of your response on your screen. Please cast your vote. please. Ladies and gentlemen, now you can see the results of the poll. The official communication has got the votes 29% and 71% has voted for web platform. Now we have the last presentation of the day. Dr. Methu Henry, who was the Chief Technical Advisor of the Bangladesh Forest Inventory Project, and now he is working FAO headquarters, Rome. He will speak from Rome. May I request Dr. Methu Henry to speak on sharing knowledge from Bangladesh Forest Inventory and other national inventories. As a part of his presentation, you will have an opportunity to watch a short video on regional workshop. May I request Dr. Methu Henry from FAO to deliver his presentation. Dr. Methu Henry.
Dear colleagues, dear friends and participants, my presentation today is about sharing knowledge from the Bangladesh Forest Inventory. You saw from today's presentation the technical advances and progress of the Bangladesh Forest Inventory under the Forest Department, and the great opportunities for our colleagues in Dhaka and in Bangladesh to share about their experience with other countries. Let me share the first slide. It's about FAO. So just a quick reminder about what is FAO. FAO is a technical organization under the United Nations. It serves about 187 member states and focus on the reduction of hunger and poverty. It assists member countries by providing policy advice and technical assistance, disseminating information, setting standards, organizing forage agreements, aiming at promoting food security and the sustainable use of natural resources, including forestry. FAO has the mandate to collect, analyze, interpret, and disseminate information related to nutrition, food, and agriculture, including forestry. Forests and trees are closely tied to food security, nutrition, and sustainable land management. As you can see, and as you know, FAO has been supporting for the last 50 years global forest resource assessment, and is providing technical support in many countries in this regard. As you can see in the next slide, it's about the importance of National Forest Inventory. National Forest Inventory is a comprehensive process that moves from identifying information needs. It's very important to have clear understanding of what are the needs and how to do data collection from a multitude of different sources, including field inventories and remote sensing, analyzing them to estimate forest characteristics at a particular point in time to inform decision making. While National Forest Inventory is about collection information at a particular point in time, National Forest Monitoring is about a comprehensive process that includes a systematic collection, analysis, dissemination of forest-related data and forest changes, and the derivation of information and knowledge at regular intervals to allow the monitoring of changes over time. On the top right of your slide, you see an illustration of the status of global forests from the Global Forest Resource Assessment 2020. And on the bottom right, you see a number of countries which are currently supported by FAO for their national forest inventory related activities. So as you can see, we are supporting a number of countries from different forest types and ecosystems all over the globe. So what do? We provide support to the countries, we receive requests, we support identification of the information needs, what are the different kind of criteria, indicators, information that are required to answer to the different objectives, to the different questions that are raised by the government and national stakeholders. Accordingly, we support national partners in developing methodologies according to international standards, and we support the implementation, logistic, information system, data collection. We provide support through the development of software application related to data management, analysis, and reporting to national and international frameworks. As you see on the bottom right, there are some important documents. I would like to highlight the one related to the voluntary guidelines on national forest monitoring. In the guidelines on national forest monitoring, you can see that you have different core elements for national forest monitoring. You have foundation elements, strategic elements, operational elements. In the foundation elements, some core important things to be taken into consideration are related to the institutionalization of the national forest inventory and forest monitoring system, developing and strengthening the national capacities, developing partnerships and collaborations, strengthening research and research institutions. So those are the foundation elements if we want to do a strong and robust national forest monitoring system. Then there are some strategic decisions to be taken on who has the mandate to collect what: soil, plant, tree measurements, satellite imageries, remote sensing. We need to clearly identify what are the information needs. Some of them can be also go beyond forestry, and it needs to be taken into consideration in the case we want to develop some cost-efficient national approach for natural resource monitoring, I mean trees and forests. There are also some stakeholder identification and engagement to ensure the sustainability of the process, to create a critical mass and enhance the partnerships. There are also some communication and dissemination elements, like today we organize a webinar to disseminate the information related to the Bangladesh forest inventory. The integration of young experts, this is very important because those are the next generation who will do the forest monitoring, and they need to be involved too. Data management and archiving to ensure the continuity of the process. We need to make sure that everything is well managed and archived to be taken into consideration in the future, and also about impact assessment. When we talk about operational elements, we talk about the preparation. It's about procurement and many other things. The statistical design, that is very important to have a robust statistical approach for the forest monitoring. And operational design, I mean a design that is operationalized, and data management, analysis, documentation, and reporting. So those are three important core elements to be taken into consideration for national forest monitoring. So I encourage you to visit the link below and to look at the document. I think it provides very good advice on how to implement a national forest monitoring and to improve it in the future. In my next slide, it's about the evolving needs. As you know, in the past, we have been monitoring forests, doing forest inventory mostly for timber resources. And then we started talking about sustainable forest management. Then we talk about biodiversity. Then with the emerging, the increasing changes related to our climate, we talk about climate change. And now there is this overall framework of indicators and targets under the Sustainable Development Goals, and mostly the SDG 13, 15, but also 17 that are also related to national forest inventory and needs to be taken into consideration at national and global level in support to development targets. Now, a few words about a regional exchange workshop that was organized in 2018 in Bangladesh. The idea of this regional workshop that was organized by the Forest Department with support from FAO and US and Silva Carbon with financial support from USAID was to exchange knowledge and experience on national forest monitoring between countries in South and Southeast Asia, to talk about technologies, to talk about plans, strategies, programs, sustainability, and institutionalization. There was about 70 participants. from 14 countries and 32 governmental, academic, research, and non-government entities. The idea was to strengthen this collaboration between neighboring countries, considering that you have some regional similarities between forests, you have some similar challenges, and there was a great opportunity for each country to learn and benefit from each other, particularly in the facilitated workshop environment that promoted networking and contacts. And that allows also to identify a number of next steps on how to update information about the status of South and of National Forest Inventory and Southeast Asia. A few key results that were obtained during the regional workshop. As you can see, the latest NFI completed for different countries that vary a lot. Like the last National Forest Inventory in Cambodia was in 1965. In Myanmar, it was in 1992. Now there is a new National Forest Inventory starting in Myanmar. In the Philippines, it was in 2004, Sri Lanka and Vietnam in 2010, Indonesia 2014, and Bangladesh in 2018. As you can see, there is a lot of difference in terms of number of NFI completed by the countries, with India completed 5 National Forest Inventories, Sri Lanka 6, Bangladesh 2, Bhutan 1. I'm not going to provide more details, but as you can see here, is that all countries have different National Forest Inventory. They have different sampling intensity, different number of land cover classes. In the next slide, you can also see that the objectives of National Forest Inventory are not the same for the different countries. The resources allocated are not the same. If you can see on the top right of this slide, you have a huge number of people that are permanent staff in Vietnam and Indonesia allocated to National Forest Inventory. In Malaysia, you have most of the people who are temporary staff. In India, you have about half. In Bangladesh, you have maybe 60% of the staff that are permanent and the rest that are temporary. So those are important things to be taken into consideration. If we want to do sustainable forest management, we need to have sustainable forest inventory and monitoring system. As you can see, that the main objective for National Forest Inventory is related to biomass, it's related to land cover change, tree cover, biodiversity, commercial volume, soil organic carbon, and others. You can see that most of the users of National Forest Inventory are from the government, then from research and academia, then you have like NGOs, private sectors, and the research. And how do we use remote sensing and NFI in South and Southeast Asia? Most of the land cover information are used for statistics to be integrated into the National Forest Inventory data. Some countries use also for the stratification, mapping forest attributes, for also to support the plot location, planning, also transplantation and movements, and quality controls, crown cover, and others.
Matthew, please finish your presentation within 2 minutes.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Nishad. Few key challenges identified during this regional workshop. The need to increase, there is increasing needs and requirements at subnational, national, and international level for immediate, emergency and long-term investment purpose. National forest monitoring requires long-term support and institutionalization. This is valid in Bangladesh and in many other countries, or in all countries. Technical capacities, resources are essential for the sustainability. There needs to be crucial, National Forest Inventory is crucial to consider from the beginning, it is crucial to consider from the beginning the various end users to understand what the different stakeholders want and need from this National Forest Inventory. What are the needs? What are the requirements to ensure the use of the National Forest Inventory for the public and the private sector, research, academia, and the government. It is important to consider the data sharing agreement that was mentioned in the previous presentation. what are the different dissemination instruments like the Bangladesh Forest Information System to strengthen partnerships like with Khulna University, with SUS, with Chittagong, to facilitate data access for and from the National Forest Inventory to reduce duplication and confusion. And
there is no volume.
Matthew, no volume.
Matthew, we cannot hear you.
Matthew, we don't hear you.
Christopher, Chris, can you continue?
You know, I think Matthew is concluding. He was about to conclude. So
Okay.
I think it's safe for us to move forward with the video.
Okay.
Yeah, Shahed, go ahead and announce the video.
Now the video will be played on. Thank you, Dr. Matthew. Mr. Halim, please play on the video.
In 2015, forest in South and Southeast Asia represented 7.6% of global forest land, where 20% of world deforestation is happening. Changes in the extent and structure of forests have dramatic impacts on carbon, water, and nutrient cycles. Diminishing forest resources leads to adverse impacts on millions of people depending on forest ecosystem services for their livelihood. Forest monitoring systems in South and Southeast Asian countries are different from each other in terms of their history, objectives, technologies, and biophysical and socioeconomic contexts. There's an opportunity to exchange this knowledge to further advance forest monitoring in the region. For this purpose, a regional workshop was organized by the Bangladesh Forest Department with technical support from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations and Silvocarbon and financial support from USAID. The collaborative environment provided many networking opportunities. Each country was able to learn and benefit from each other for strengthening their national forest monitoring activities. For example, the Bangladesh Forest Department shared their experiences with implementing the Bangladesh Forest Inventory, including innovative approaches for field data collection, quality control, and plot relocation.
In this workshop, we're trying to support regional exchange of forest inventory experiences, the challenges and the successes, the different solutions that countries have used, and just overall what their experiences are.
This is very impressive workshop in which 13 countries in Asia come together, so we can strengthen our collaboration in the future related to the national forest monitoring and assessment.
All countries can share their information regarding policy, NFI, National Forest Inventory, and what kind of works they are doing actually.
This exchange program was an insight. It was very well organized, so much of exchange of ideas between that. So like we are starting our next NFI, so this has helped us.
The workshop was praised as a great platform for demonstrating and sharing recommendations that strengthen South and Southeast Asian collaboration for forest resource monitoring and assessment.
The information I gathered from the workshop will be really helpful to consider about strengthening the research capacity within the university, and maybe we can collaborate with Forest Department to further strengthening the NFI processes.
The use of an open source software, I think, would be able to efficiently gather the data and analyze it.
We can influence other organizations that can help or assist our government colleagues to push for the National Forest Inventory, not only by conducting the activities, but also by working on policies as well as capacity building.
I think the more we have this sort of conversation among us, the more we understand about the importance of NFI, and that would contribute to a better forest management in future.
The recommendations highlighted in the workshop will improve regional forest management and conservation in the future.
Distinguished panelists and participants, we have come to the end of our technical sessions. Now this is the time for our distinguished panelists to speak. At first, I would like to request Mr. John Taylor, Chief Technical Advisor, FAO Food System and FAO representative in Bangladesh ad interim, to deliver his speech. Mr. John Taylor.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. Assalamu alaikum. And thank you for having me. To Honorable Additional Secretary, Mr. Shamin Al-Razi, Honorable Chief Conservator of Forests, Mr. Mohammed Amir Hussain Chowdhury, Dr. John Smith-Streen, distinguished panelists, participants from home and abroad, ladies and gentlemen. Today we have learned that the Forest Department is in a great position to carry on an exemplary national forest inventory and to be a leader in sustainable forest management among Asian countries. The Ministry, the Forestry Department, FAO have worked together over the past 4 decades towards sustainable tree and forest management. It is now more important than ever to take care of our forests. As you know, the recent Amphan cyclone not only claimed lives, but also left a heavy economic loss. While estimates of the losses are still preliminary, a recent FAO and WFP rapid assessment estimates the damage to be around $293 million. Importantly, however, it is estimated that the Sundarban forest helped Bangladesh avoid about $500 million worth of economic damages. Just to give a sense of the value of this, the preventive value of the forest. The Forest Department knows well and appreciates the value of Bangladesh's forests, and it is important that they continue to be supported in their ability to provide critical forest information to the ministry. The knowledge disseminated through the BFI is far-reaching. We now have a clear idea of the national status of trees and forest resources, including trees outside forest areas and their contribution to carbon initiatives such as REDD+. Valuable soil carbon stocks in particular are now estimated nationally with a sample-based statistical method for the first time. There is new information about all land that's used, not only forest area, and that will benefit many sectors, including agriculture, fisheries, and water. But despite the success of the project, there remain areas for improvement. The Bangladesh Forest Inventory still depends on financial support of come-and-go projects, which weakens its long-term value. New data collection under a permanent program is needed to continue monitoring and updating the status of tree and forest resources. FAO encourages the Ministry of Environment, Forest, and Climate Change to find the necessary resources to establish a permanent National Forest Inventory unit within the Forest Department to ensure the sustainability of the Bangladesh Forest Inventory. Again, I would like to congratulate on behalf of Robert Simpson and FAO, the Ministry and Forest Department on their hard work, and look forward to further future collaborations that strengthen the sustainable use of Bangladesh's natural resources. To all of those involved, a great congratulations and thank you. We wish the best of luck as you guys go forward. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. John Taylor, for your nice deliberation. Distinguished guests and participants, now may I request Dr. John Smith-Srin, Director, Economic Growth Office, USAID Bangladesh, to say a few words for our distinguished participants. It may be noted that USAID provided financial support for the accomplishment of Bangladesh forest inventory activities. Dr. John Smith-Srin, Director, Economic Growth Office, USAID.
Thank you very much. It was nice to see Secretary Hassan here at the beginning of this event. And I want to share my welcome to Additional Secretary Shamina Al-Razi, Chief Conservator Forrest Chowdhury, and FAO Representative ad interim Taylor. And to the rest of the participants, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's a real pleasure to be here today for such an important event. Important for Bangladesh, important for the United States, and important for the entire Indo-Pacific region. And it's nice to see those gathered throughout the Indo-Pacific, focusing on monitoring forest resources, conserving nature, promoting resilience, and showcasing what is going well in Bangladesh today. And there is a lot going well in Bangladesh today. USAID has been in your beautiful country for most of my lifetime, and we've been privileged to partner with the government and people of Bangladesh on some very important projects and very successful activities, including this National Forest Inventory. We also work closely with international partners, including the Food and Agriculture Organization. And as has been stated, the Bangladesh Forest Department, FAO, and USAID partnership resulted in this National Forest Inventory. Other US government agencies also participated, including our US Forest Service and the National Aeronautics and Space Administration. Though many people contributed, and we heard from many today, USAID wanted to offer our special appreciation to Zahir Iqbal, the Deputy Conservator of Forests, Mathieu Henry from FAO, and Chris Johnson from FAO, who have dedicated literally years of work to the Bangladesh Forest Inventory. As we heard from Dr. Mariam Akhtar, this inventory combines socioeconomic data with biophysical parameters. And as a development organization, USAID finds this significant. We recognize that people can play a role in degrading natural resources like forest cover. But we also recognize the vital role people play in safeguarding forest resources. USAID is pleased that the results of the forest inventory are already helping to inform strategic planning and decision-making, including by the Bangladesh Forest Department, the UN, and USAID. And I was particularly intrigued with the presentation on the Bangladesh Forest Inventory System. That web platform seems like quite a useful way to use the results and organize the results from the inventory. USAID is actually using it to structure our ongoing partnership with the Bangladesh Forest Department and the US Forest Service under our new activity called COMPASS. And we have 3 new activities working with Bangladeshi NGOs in partnership with the Bangladesh Forest Department too. This is called the Local Works Partnership, and we're working with Aranak Foundation, NACOM, and CODEC. Forests, as we've heard throughout the day, are so important for Bangladesh, providing both a productive and a protective function. And I was intrigued to hear John Taylor's quantification of $500 million being saved in terms of the Sundarbans protective function in Bangladesh. Forests help drive economic growth, and they help protect from natural disasters. Both are such critical functions for Bangladesh's development aspirations. Bangladesh itself is so important for the Indo-Pacific region in terms of its economic contributions, promoting trade, but also its contributions toward improved management and resilience of natural resources, forests, water, biodiversity. In conclusion, there are a myriad of challenges with forest conservation and resilience in Bangladesh. Since I've been here over the past year, Bangladesh has been hit by 2 major cyclones, and a third of the country today is inundated by monsoon rains. Despite great progress in this country, there are only 114 Bengal tigers left. Despite economic growth in Bangladesh, 16 million Bangladeshis live on less than 163 taka a day. And most likely, that number has probably doubled over the past couple of months with COVID-19. The tension between economic growth and forest conservation remains. And yet I submit to you that forest conservation and economic growth can coexist. And it's critically important that we don't lose sight of that important point during the pandemic. This takes a thoughtful approach. It takes analysis and building on lessons learned. It takes people like you who are gathered virtually today and who are working to strike this proper balance. Overall, Bangladesh's prospects for growth in the near term are very good. The country is now at a critical juncture, and not just from COVID-19. As we move forward from today with discussions of forest conservation and resilience, I encourage you to keep in mind Bangladesh's many strengths. Look to maximize commitment and capacity of institutions. Promote people and government working together. Share good models for environmental conservation that build resilience while facilitating economic opportunity. As Secretary Hassan said, continue to update the Bangladesh forest inventory over time. And let me re-emphasize John Taylor's message. We really hope the ministry finds a way to budget the Bangladesh forest inventory over the next many years. This is such an important process for the country, and it needs to be institutionalized within the regular government budget system. Through this process, Bangladesh will continue to protect forests, support people, and create economic and social opportunities that contribute to a free, productive, and secure Indo-Pacific region. Dhanyabad.
Thank you, Dr. John Smithson, for a nice deliberation with recognition of the effort of Bangladesh Forest Inventory team in successfully conducting Bangladesh Forest Inventory and achieving the desired results. Respected audience, now the development wing of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change is the key wing in the ministry to deal with all development projects in the ministry. As a head of this wing, Additional Secretary Development plays the key role. Now it's my pleasure to request Mr. A. Shamim Al-Raji, Additional Secretary Development, Minister of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Bangladesh, and Regional Director on Global Center on Adaptation to deliver his valuable remarks. Mr. A. Shamim Al-Raji, Additional Secretary.
Thank you very much. So we have been listening the forest inventory under heading Knowledge Sharing Webinar on National Forest Monitoring in Southeast Asia, presentation of the Bangladesh Forest Inventory. At the moment, I feel so happy, especially in this COVID situation, we have been able to gather so many people related to these big activities. And I convey my special thanks to Mr. John Smithson, Mr. Robert D. Simpson, Matthew Henry, Mr. Christopher Johnson, and Mr. Shahidjaman, along with my so many colleagues. Especially, I want to mention the name of CCF, Mr. Muhammad Amir Hussain Choudhury and Nishad, Mr. Nishad. I'm happy because we could approve this report at the earliest. And as we are informed that this was maybe some pending, but there was some problem. At that time, we intervened and we could convince the policy people to accept this report. So this is one of the success. The journey started in the year 2016, and we have completed one of the biggest part, I think. Dear colleagues and distinguished participants from different disciplines, I like to draw your attention to some of the points which are related to commitment of the state regarding forest inventory and forestry activities. Number 1, SDG Goal 15. As you know, sustainably manage forest, combat desertification, halt and reverse land degradation, and halt biodiversity loss. Number 2, manifesto of present ruling party, that is Bangladesh Awami League, page 65, chapter 3.23, where it was mentioned that climate change and the protection of the environment objectives and plan, increasing the area of the productive forest to 20% against 13.10 of 2015, and improving the quality of air in Dhaka and other major cities. That was the manifesto of Awami League. Number 3, the 7th 5-year plan of Bangladesh, page 292, the 4.5 forestry sector. And in the sector, this was mentioned that we are going to cover a bigger forest area, and it's a big chapter. I don't want to mention all the parts, but only one thing I can mention here, that is because of competing demand for agricultural land and also illegal settlements resulted in loss of forest land, which also undermined achieving of the target of 20% forest coverage by at the end of the 2015. We shall cover that forest area. Number 4, biodiversity, and in the COP 11, levels of implementation of the COP and POW are certainly very variable, but all countries should do better. Levels of knowledge about the CVD, POW at the national levels are to be satisfied. So these are our commitment as far as countries concerned. Forests still cover 30% of the world's land area, but they are disappearing at an alarming rate. We know that between 1990 and 2016, the world lost 5,02,000 square miles of forest, according to World Bank, an area larger than South Africa. Since humans started cutting down forest, 46% of the trees have been felled, according to the 2015 study in journal Nature. So from that perspective, we are going to fulfill our target related to afforestation and forestation. And before doing that, we need a very authentic data. We need a very authentic data so that we can cover it. And I have been asked to start my video. Actually, my signal is so poor. Sometimes I disappear. So I have kept my video off. Sorry for that. Thank you very much. And so this is the inventory is a systematic collection of data on forestry resources within a given area. It allows assessment of the current status and lays the ground for analysis of planning, constituting the basis of sustainable forest management. Basic data and information is required if a renewable natural resource such as forest is to be managed in a responsible, reasonable and sustainable manner. This information is largely obtained through forest inventories and what we have discussed these last 2 hours. So thanks to all for conducting such a big work, and especially I want to thank my FAO, thank my heartiest congratulations to FAO. FAO had took so pain to complete this work, and at the same time, other colleagues from forest department, they also take so many pains, they labor to finish this inventory. And one thing I want to actually some comment, there are some option how the data can be used. I can put one comment. There was a comment like that through websites or web platform. We can supply or we can disseminate this data through WFM, of course, but I think there should have some registration process. Those who will be registered on that website, they can use these data so that we have a we can check, or we can who is using, who is not using, whether he is in need or not. So that source of monitoring system should be the website, so that we can monitor or control this system. And again, I thank all you. I extend my sincere thanks to FAO for extending relevant support relating to forest assessment, monitoring, capacity development, conservation, and management of forest resources, including REDD+ programs in Bangladesh. We are also thankful to USAID for providing financial support in this great journey. My sincere thanks to all distinguished panelists and participants from home and abroad for attending this BFI webinar, and we hope to work together in a more vivid sectors with FAO and USAID. Thank you very much. Bye. Bye.
Thank you, Mr. A. Shamim Al-Raji, Additional Secretary, for your nice remarks. We hope to achieve SDG 15 goal, increase productive forests through afforestation and reforestation, achieve goals of 7th five-year plan in the environment, forest and climate sectors by working together. Again, thank you very much. We have almost come to the close of the webinar session. Now, closing address by the Chief Conservator of Forests, Bangladesh. May I request Mr. Muhammad Amir Hossain Chowdhury, Chief Conservator of Forests, Bangladesh Forest Department, to deliver his closing remarks. Mr. Muhammad Amir Hossain Chowdhury.
Thank you. Honorable Additional Secretary of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Mr. Shamim Al-Raji, John William Taylor, FAO representative in Bangladesh, and Dr. John Smith Chin, Director, Economic Growth Office, USAID Bangladesh, and participants from different organizations from both home and abroad. Very good afternoon, all of you. I'm very pleased to be a part of this historical webinar on Bangladesh forest inventory. As you already knew by this time that Bangladesh forest inventory was a process where we have completed 3 activities. These already briefly discussed. These are land cover mapping, biophysical data from inventory sample plots, and socioeconomic survey. It was country's first experience where we got forest cover, timber and carbon content, and economic valuation of tree resources from a single project. Land cover map has given us forest extent to our country. We used information derived from the land cover map already mentioned by our Honorable Additional Secretary. We are using this data to complete our target, what is mentioned in SDG 15 targets. And Global Forest Resource Assessment 2020 and supporting information to prepare our next 8th five-year plan That means from 2021 to 2025. Nationwide, above ground and below ground carbon and biomass content, gross and commercial tree volume, stem per hectare are major outcomes of biophysical inventory. Biophysical inventory not only helped us for reporting forest resources, forest reference level FRL to UNFCCC, but also provided necessary data for Global Forest Resource Assessment 2020 reporting. To prepare Land Cover Map 2015, we used land cover classification systems, which has now been used by many countries. Modern equipment used in biophysical inventory has drawn attention to many countries. I'm happy to inform you that Bangladesh is the second country in the nation who did not use paper for biophysical data collection. And you know, Bhutan is the first country who used this method, not using any paper or any form to write. We tried our best to use open source tools for Bangladesh forest inventory. And I would like to share one thing, though it is a little bit shared by our honorable presenter, Mr. Johir Iqbal, that from this BFI, we got the carbon stock from Sundarbans. We got the total carbon stocks in Sundarbans, 139 million tons carbon stocks. But 10 years back, we got our first time carbon stocks in Sundarbans, and that was the 106 million tons carbon stocks. So by this 10 years time, we able to increase the carbon stocks in the Sundarbans. And we got the seedlings per hectare density. That is also better in the Sundarbans than other ecosystems in Bangladesh. So we can conclude from this forest inventory that the stock and density of seedlings and habitat of our Royal Bengal tiger is little bit better than our previous conditions. So it is a great achievement for forest management in the Sundarbans. Results of Bangladesh forest inventory provide base for the future forest monitoring, and we would like to next monitoring after 5 years interval. And finally, I am grateful to USAID for financing the project. I am also obliged to FAO for technical support, and I am ever thankful to US Forest Service for capacity strengthening the forest officials who involved for the forest inventory and also involved the quality control. These crews are capable enough to conduct the next phase forest inventory in our country. There are many national and international organizations who contributed in the planning and implementation phases of Bangladesh forest inventory. My heartiest thanks to all those institutions, and you already know our Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change has already. I would also like to thank to Honorable Minister, Honorable Secretary, and all colleagues in the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change. And many individuals also contributed to this forest inventory process. My gratitude goes for them too. Thanks to panelists and participants for gracing this event in a spite of their busy schedule. Thank you all. Thank you.
Honorable guests, panelists, and distinguished participants, you all have been with us for almost 2 hours. In fact, we have taken about 35 minutes more than our scheduled time. This reflects your patience, cooperation, and love for conservation and management of forest resources. We are at the end of the BFI webinar session. Please allow me to draw the curtain of this BFI webinar On behalf of the Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Bangladesh Forest Department, and FAO representation in Bangladesh, I sincerely thank you all for joining us in this important event. Allah Hafiz.